Ethereum stock prediction, 16,000 American dollars. You and I, baby dolls, are going to go through today this amazing information I have here for you. Look at this Ethereum price chart. I have drawn an arrow up to $16,000 and then a red arrow down to 4,000. Where did this all come from? And I know you like coming in a very family-friendly way. I'm going to show you the big Ethereum macro chart. It's very important. There are multiple test touches at 3,800 of Ethereum. Isn't that amazing? Since 2021, look at this. It hits around 3,800. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times. That is an extremely relevant area for Ethereum. So I believe when we do bust up through it, we're never looking back. 6 times. That's like 5 years in the making. I want to show you this thing as well. This is how everybody got scammed in 2021. Ethereum touched 3,800 once, twice, and on the third time it broke up, but then it literally came back down. What happened to that whole technical analysis where support and resistance, like, oh, the resistance becomes support? What happened? Well, we'll obviously manipulate it down. We just couldn't sustain itself. You know, government liquidity, hiking rates, whatever it is, okay? But that's in the past now. Now we're looking for the Ethereum stock prediction of the future. Where does $16,000 come from? Well, I'm going to show you right now, friends. Ethereum to $16,000 and $4,000. It's a 75% drop, very in line. But look at this. If crypto industry gets to 10 trillion market cap size, this is all very possible. It only gives you an ETH-BTC ratio of 0.08 when Bitcoin is 200K. So I'm now going to show you the total crypto market cap chart. It's only at 3.3 trillion now. Now, where does 10 trillion come from? It's a round number. It's the highest fib. We have Donald Trump, who's the first crypto president. We see words like Bitcoin strategic reserve. We know global liquidity is rising. Maybe Donald Trump is going to give like he's going to make a Silicon Valley equivalent for crypto, like a crypto city. Maybe that happens. We're seeing stablecoin supercycle. We're seeing BlackRock come in. They bought BTC. They're buying Ethereum. Ethereum got manipulated down from the CME, record shorts. They've accumulated a crap load. Trump's kids like Ethereum. We also have the US Treasury Government Committee said that stablecoins are going to grow to a ridiculously huge number to 4 trillion by the year 2028, 2029. This is gargantuanly huge. We're only at 250 billion right now. So you're talking about a 10 to 20x growth. It's going to be growing 60% every year. It's wild, man. So that's huge. All of it is coming. Now, here's the thing. If you say that the industry is going to 10 trillion, I've just reverse engineered some numbers. So if you have the ratio of everything, now these ratios don't always hold the line. Bitcoin dominance, ETH-BTC ratio, Ethereum's dominance, they can shift and morph. They can, but I'm just giving some basic rough estimates, okay? At 10 trillion for total crypto, if Bitcoin dominance is 40%, so what I'll do now, I'll just show you Bitcoin dominance and we'll check out where would 40% take us. It will eventually take us all the way down here. Now, it doesn't have to hit 40%. Maybe it hits 48. But I'm just giving you a rough idea of these, okay? So if you assume that, what numbers do we actually get? They're actually quite fascinating. You have a Bitcoin 200K. That's 4 trillion. You have Ethereum 16K, which is 1.4 trillion. Others, which is outside of the top 10 crypto, hits 2.6 trillion. And then you have stable coins at 2 trillion. So that would all add up to about 10 trillion. Yeah, if we got something like that. This is like where it's heading. Remember, we have AI being super deflationary. Remember, friends, the big macro world themes. We are not having enough babies to completely replace the baby boomers who gave birth to all of us. Okay, pretty much a big part of the generation here. So we didn't have enough babies, so everything's deflationary. Populations are going down, debt is going up. And they have to print currency to make up for it. And that printing of currency is basically what's going to help fuel us into the digital age. It's going to accelerate it as time goes on. That's what crypto is here to do. Now, what about the Ethereum price of $16,000? Because it sounds a bit optimistic, doesn't it? Well, this is the thing, friends. If you draw a Fibonacci from the top of Ethereum to the bottom, all right, you look at from the top to the bottom here, where does the highest fib take us? It literally takes us to about 17,000. So in the last cycle, we landed between the third and the second fib around here. So it would be, so we could still be looking at a $14,000 Ethereum, you know, 14 to around here, you know, like here we go, like 13, 14 up to like 16, 17, this box, all right? Could be some spike ups and stuff out here. And then I expect something where, look, this becomes a new floor. Basically what I've done is I like how, look, even if we go to even a $14,000 ETH, if you drop down from 14K down to 4K Ethereum, you still get about a 70% drop. So the numbers are still good. They're quite fantastic. And that means altcoins and the business cycle and everything's going to play out. You know, a lot of people look at this. They're like, hey, but, you know, you heard from Bitcoin maxis that Ethereum's trash. Okay, if Ethereum's trash, why do Bitcoin maxis like Max Kaiser still hold their ICO position in Tether, which is literally making most of its money from Ethereum clients? Okay, look what they do, not what they say. Actions speak louder than words. Most of the stable coins that Tether deploy are on Ethereum. 55% of all the world's stable coins are on Ethereum. There's 230 billion total. Yeah, 130 billion is pretty much on Ethereum. The others is on Tron, also pretty much like another similar EVM, and the rest is on Solana as well, also like another altcoin chain. That's crazy, right? Altcoins are the infrastructure of Bitcoin. Bitcoin's got no tech. It's too slow. That's why we went and made altcoins in the first place. People forgot why altcoins exist. The Bitcoin dominance has gone so far up that it made people literally forget why we made crypto in the first place, altcoins. It's because the Bitcoin community literally, they move at a turtle's pace. They don't want to change anything more than like once every 5 years. It's so slow. You will be reminded of that again when altcoins start mooning. The Ethereum stock price going all the way up here will be fantastic to reach my head. I wonder what that means for altcoins. It means a big fat giant pump. That's what it means. So why is crypto heading to 10 trillion? Why that number 10 trillion? Well, look, as I explained to you, friends, AI, global liquidity, all these things are just pushing us forward. And then, you know, you probably want to know, is 10 trillion even a big number? No, it's not. Because here I have the other world markets and the other world industries to compare. Right here. Check this out, friends. Stocks, friends, are 150 trillion. Gold is 22 trillion. Bonds are 200 trillion. Cash is 90 trillion. Properties 200 trillion. And they're all still growing. They're growing like 8% per year because of the money printer. So like crypto's 3, man. You know, and by the way, we've got to remind you, crypto, remember, markets, friends, they don't go to fair value and stop there. They go to fair value, then they get a bit expensive, and then a lot expensive, and then they hit euphoria. They overextend. So even if we think the fair value for crypto is 5 trillion, it's not going to go to 5 and just stall there. It's probably going to go there, battle it around, and have this euphoric blow off. Why are markets like that? Is it because we're friends? Yes. Is it because I have the straightest posture in the northern, southern, eastern, and western hemisphere? Yes. But also, it's because of just how markets work. They price in the future. People get excited at the tops. There is nobody who's going, literally, friends, no one is going to watch crypto go to 5 or 6 trillion and go, there will be no more growth now. What you'll find is people will price in the future. They might price in a Donald Trump sponsored crypto city. They might price in the US Fed hinting that they might buy crypto. They might price in China wanting to enter a public battle with US of America and them saying they want to accumulate lots of Bitcoin as well. Okay. All these things, these narratives that aren't here yet, they will get priced in the future. That's what markets have done. That's what crypto's done in every single cycle. We get ahead of ourselves. We price in too much of the future, a perfect future. And that, my friends, is when everybody gets trapped. But we are not there yet. We need higher prices first. So yeah, now you and I are going to crank it a bit. Put your hands up in the air. 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 Put your hands up. Now, what are some narratives that can take us up there? Narratives, they're useless. But I know a lot of you watching them, you want to see the Ethereum stock prediction. What about the narrative? The narrative, give me a narrative to make up. Narratives is bullshit, dude. They're bullshit. Don't waste your time. But I know you want to waste your time. Real world assets, narrative 1. Stable coins, narrative 2. Tokenization, narrative 3. UFO disclosure. Remember, Vitalik, he's an alien himself. 4,000 IQ alien. He made Ethereum. He made the Ethereum stock. So as UFO disclosure comes out, you even saw recently on Jeremy Cowbell and George Knapp's YouTube channel, they have Matthew Brown, worked at the Pentagon, pretty much saying we live in the Matrix, constructed reality. Yes, we all know about these. Because you watch all my mostly famous and friendly UFO videos, which I so eloquently cover for you. And if you're ever on my channel, friends, the highest value content in crypto, if you click on my channel, you can actually go to playlists. What I've done is I actually put UFOs up high for you. Or if you just click on home, and then actually scroll down, check this out. UFO videos, the first playlist. You see this? This is like all, and I've actually sorted it from the newest first. So you can see all the UFO videos. You can go back and back and back. Just be careful. I'm just telling you, this rabbit hole, it ain't for blue-pilled cucks. If you're a blue-pilled cuck, okay, if you swallow blue pills, it's all right. You're having a nice, comfy life. We're not anything about the blue pill life here. We are, just give me every pill you got. Red, black. Is it poison? We'll find out later. This one's got rainbow colors. This is great. This one says, don't take if you're about to drive. That's all we're here for. Red pill, everything. The truth. So remember, we're very, very, very bullish on everything altogether, friends. We are very bullish. All of this information, crypto to 10 trillion. I hope we blow through 10 trillion, but it's, you know, it's a fib extension. So you never know. It might actually, it might ping, it might go to 10 trillion. It might ping up to like 12 trillion for like that month where we're like, oh my gosh, in this month, crypto added 2 trillion to the market cap in just a month. And it might be an unsustainable blow of euphoria, but we'll see. I wanted to give you this very nice ratio update as well. Remember, friends, I use, so how do I even get to this? A lot of people ever say, hey, Sommi, how did you even get like, you know, that number? Is it just the Fibonacci's? Well, here's the thing. If you go to Ethereum's dominance, Ethereum went down to as low as 7% of the industry. It used to be 20%. If Ethereum, friends, retraces, I'm just going to assume this is the bottom. If it retraces back here, that means Ethereum has about 15% dominance of the industry. Okay. So you go, oh, because that's a ratio, right? Yeah. So if you are, so I'll write it down here. If you are 15% of a $10 trillion industry, right? That means Ethereum stock is worth 1.5 trillion. So what price is that? Well, ETH has 120 million tokens. All right. And so if you divide the 1.5 trillion in size by the 120 million tokens, you have Ethereum, $12,800. Very interesting, which is pictured right here. So that's why even like it's near 13K. That's the interesting part. It's near 13K. So that's still like, I've just used a 15% number here. All right, 15%. So like if it got back up to here, right, that's where you're looking at even higher numbers. And if Ethereum did get back up to here, it would be 2 trillion in size, which is about $16,000 Ethereum, 16K. But isn't it nice to know that the lower end is about 13K? The upper end's like 16K. Isn't that nice to know? It's nice. So if you see it like a 13K Ethereum, you're like, oh, sweet. You know, it's 1.5 trillion. That's where we are. And remember, Ethereum does some wild stuff. So you just don't know what would happen in the midst of that mania. Now, I wanted to give you a bit of an update, friends. You're looking at ratios. That's how we use ratios out here. Let's crank it a bit. Now, this is a PulseChain ratio. This is a ratio between the people's Bitcoin, it's wrapped Bitcoin from PulseChain, pWBTC, and this is pDAI, the people's DAI. This is a ratio, right? It is basically been rejecting of this range. What does that mean? It means pDAI and pWBTC, the ratio, people's Bitcoin's expensive, pDAI is cheap. Okay, now, because it's a ratio and a spread, it can come back in two ways. And what I mean by come back, as in it can come back down here. It can go down by there's two ways, okay? So one way is the people's Bitcoin just dumps by itself. That's it. It dumps like 75%. That's one way. Another way, which is the way we want, is pDAI rallies strong and the people's Bitcoin can't catch up to it, but it keeps rallying with it. So it could be that pDAI rallies 20x and people's Bitcoin only rallies like 6. So they still go up. That's one way the ratio, the spread can come out. So why do we even use these? It's because it tells us pDAI is cheap. pDAI is cheap on literally every ratio. Atropa pDAI, Teddy Bear pDAI, pWBTC pDAI. Every single ratio to do with pDAI, they are very high, which means everything else is expensive against pDAI. I've been reporting this for you for a long time. That's how we use ratios to kind of figure out, hey, I want to sniff something, right? So basically it says if you're going to put in $1 into the ecosystem, you probably want to buy the cheaper one, right? Or if you're doing a ratio, like if you're putting in $1,000, you'd probably put $800 pDAI, $200 pWBTC. You're like, oh, I'm stacking more of the pDAI side just because it's more expensive on the ratio. And remember, we don't day trade these. They're like long-term macro things, just like ETHBTC. If ETHBTC was like, at 0.20, you'd want to trade out of it. You're like, oh crap, and Ethereum is 20% of Bitcoin size, right? Right now, it's only 2.4% of Bitcoin size. You get it? That's the ETHBTC ratio, which I'll show you again here. So you might say, oh my gosh, Ethereum here is fair value. If Ethereum got to like up here, you probably want to sell Ethereum, get back Bitcoin, right? And right now it's pretty cheap. Probably a lot of people are converting their Bitcoin into Ethereum. Using ratios is helpful. Some cute information as well about pWBTC, friends. Even though it's relatively expensive to pDAI, right? There's only 150,000 of them. Okay, there's only 150,000. It's super scarce. It will be fantastic to accumulate down the bottom of the range. So pretty much this ratio rejecting off here, if it got back down to this box, all right, if it got back to this like channel, right, I will be using a bit of the pDAI to buy back pWBTC. But some people might get ahead of themselves. They might do it in the middle of the range, this ratio. And one thing I know, when something goes to one extreme, watch out. It'll usually go to the other extreme. It actually happened before. It hit the top of the channel up here. It actually came back down all the way here, right? So maybe you had a fair value at this line and look, it traded on the bottom of the support. So I'm wondering if that happens again. The interesting part about that pWBTC to pDAI ratio is it matches the Bitcoin price, the BTC USD price. But right now it's at 197,000. So what's the Bitcoin price? 100K. So maybe you think the fair value is 100K. And maybe this thing comes back and trades at 50. That would be the cheap zone. Using ratios, very powerful. And I've got to remind you, my nipples do remain pegged. Now, something very interesting. pDAI today has hit the elusive 0.0018 price. Why is that elusive? Because the exact bottom of pDAI had this 0018 in it. It was down here. The exact bottom was 0.12345 of these zeros and then 18. That was the exact bottom. Okay. And that bottom to the top is 555,555x to $1 up to $1 from the bottom here. So that's why this bottom, that number 00018, anything with the 18 in pDAI, super important. So 1.8 cents will be, so 18 cents will be important. 1.8 cents will be important. 0.18 cents is actually where we are right now. So the number is 0.0018 here. That's also really, really cool. So we are on our way to recover the FUD. Remember as well what I've covered for you before. It normally took between 33 and 65 days in the past 3 pDAI capitulations. It took 33 to 65 days to recover the capitulation part. I have to basically just go back and erase it. Now, considering we had the biblical level of shakeout and killings here, we had a homicide attempt on pDAI's life. So Catty, right? Resident witch, yes. She's dressed like a witch. She had pictures and stuff out here. Homicide on pDAI. An attempted homicide on its life literally sends it to 0. So not financial advice, no crime in the casino. pDAI already went to 0 twice. Can go to 0 and stay there next time. For a third time, it could. I'm still long and I still believe my nipples are still pegged. But if that pattern repeated from before, where would the star of the FUD be? This was Maria's FUD. This was Maria's FUD, this line. There were 33 Richard Hart tweets here saying pDAI is stupid and to sell it. Caddy killed pDAI here. I mean, you literally had 3 bosses. Yeah. And they're like, it was, my gosh, biblical level. All right. If we took 65 days to retrace this FUD, where would day 65 take us? Actually, 22nd of May. It would be kind of funny if this thing actually just like squiggly lined itself up and did that. That would be funny. But like, I'm willing to give it even another month because that level of FUD was like just so long and intense. But what happens up here? Well, if we hit this 1 cent mark, it enters the zeitgeist of everyone as well. It's the elusive 1 cent. Now they can contemplate, oh, 1 cent, it's 100x to $1. And everybody's going to change their avatars to Sommi's peg nipples as per the public agreement from everyone. Everyone said it was going to go to zero and die and stay there here at that point. So I guess we'll see what happens. Having a quick look at the PulseChain prices today as well. Friends, nothing's pretty much going on. pDAI, a bit of a 12% move. We've got a long, long, long way to go with these as well. Remember, a win of PulseChain is a win for everyone. PLS is still at 0.38x of SAC price. It's got a while to go, and by a long, long while, but these things can move fast. We just need Ethereum, as I mentioned for you. Ethereum stock needs to go above 3,800. That will be the 7th ping of it. I think when we break, feels like that'll be the actual long-awaited, the fabled alt season will appear. And the most special, friendliest reminder to you, I do not make any content for Blue-Pilled Cucks. This is a peppy on the puppet string. All right? This is only for the strongest of believers. Like, subscribe, press the belly button, press all. Catch you in the next one.